So far we have seen what is matter and that everything around us is matter. So let's see the different states of matter now. There are three physical states of matter. The solid state, the book is an example of a solid state. Water is an example of the liquid state. And the steam coming out of a hot teapot is an example of the gaseous state. You must have seen the three states of water. The solid form of water is known as ice. This is the solid state of water. The liquid state of water is known as water. And the gaseous state of water, you must have seen that when you boil water, the steam comes out. So this is the gaseous state of water. Now let's focus on the solid state. We take a ball. First, we'll place it in a small container and then we'll transfer it into the bigger container. Let's observe something. So as we place it in the smaller container, we see it weighs 10 grams. Now it is transferred to the bigger container. So you observe, in this case, again it weighs 10 grams. The shape of the ball does not change. Since its shape is not changing, so the volume of ball does not change. All solids, they have a definite shape, they have a definite mass, and that is why they have a definite or a fixed volume. This is true for all solids. Solids cannot flow. If you drop sugar or salt on floor, you do not observe them flowing away. Instead, they form a heap. That is, solids cannot flow. They are stationary. So we know that solids have a definite shape. A book, a pencil, they have a definite shape. But you must have played with a rubber band. When you stretch a rubber band, it changes its shape. When you leave it, it regains its original shape. At times, some metallic rods, if you hammer them, they change their shape permanently. Solids have a definite shape. They do not change their shape on their own. It is only when some external force is applied that they change their shape. At times, when the external force is removed, they regain their shape, but sometimes the change in shape is permanent. Now, let's observe some features of the liquid state. Let's take water. We'll first put some quantity of water in the smaller container. Then we'll transfer that water into the bigger container. Let's observe what happens. So as we put some water in the smaller container, we see that it weighs 30 grams. It is at the position 30. That is, it occupies 30 centimeter cube in the smaller container. And we see that the water takes the shape of the smaller container. Now we transfer the water present in the smaller container into the bigger container. What do we observe? We observe that the same quantity of water is occupying the same mass. That is, it again weighs 30 grams. It is again present at the same position. That is, it occupies 30 centimeter cube volume. And you also observe that now the water takes the shape of the bigger container. All liquids, they have a definite mass, they have a definite volume, but they do not have a definite shape. They take the shape of the container in which they are enclosed. Liquids flow. So if you drop water on floor, you see that it starts flowing. They flow and they change their shape. That is why liquids are known as fluids. Let's now observe the gaseous state. Let's observe the characteristics of a gas. This pump contains some gas. When it is pressed once, it releases the same amount of gas. So first, the gas is pumped in the smaller container. So you observe that when it is pressed once, it releases 2 grams of gas. The gas takes up the shape of the smaller container and it also occupies the entire space available by the smaller container. So it takes the volume and the shape of the smaller container. Now the same quantity of gas is pumped in the bigger container. So we observe that the same quantity of gas weighs the same. In the second case also it weighs 2 grams. And it is also observed that in the bigger container, the gas takes up the entire space available in the bigger container. So the gas occupies the volume of the bigger container and it takes the shape of the bigger container. all gases, they have a definite mass, but they do not have a definite volume and they do not have a definite shape. They take the shape and the volume of the container in which they are enclosed. Gases flow. You must have seen steam coming out of a hot steaming pot. So here the steam, you see, it's flowing, it's freely flowing. So gases also flow. So now let's compare the three states, the solid, liquid and the gaseous state. We'll compare the mass, volume and the shape. Let's start with solids. So you see that the mass of solids, it's definite. The volume. Solids have a definite shape and they have a definite volume. When they're transferred to another beaker or any beaker, they do not change the shape or the volume. So the volume and shape is also definite. What happens in case of a liquid? In liquids, the mass is definite. Equal quantities of liquids, they weigh the same. So their mass is definite. Their volume is also definite. Here, if it is 30 centimeter cube, even in the bigger vessel or the bigger container, the volume is 30 centimeter cube. So they have a definite volume, but the shape, they take the shape of the container in which they are placed. So for liquids, the shape is not definite. Now let's see what happens in the gaseous state. For gases, we know that equal quantities of gas, they weigh the same. So the mass of the gas is definite, but the shape and the volume of the gas is not definite. They take up the volume and the shape of the container in which they are enclosed. So this is the features, this is what we get for the solid, liquid and the gaseous state.